Welcome back, students. Let's quickly get started with Django. Right, so it's been a while since we uploaded the last lecture. Because of certain students who take aids from completing the lecture. So we're ignoring all, and those who want to get ahead with the program will surely get ahead with the program. And we will try and regularly post lectures, right? So it is going to be a full stack development program using Django. So we're going to touch basics and we're going to understand basics up to the extent possible under us, right? So we're not going to ignore basics so that we don't develop big softwares, right? And we'll focus on doing component-based programming, and which is why we are here. And component-based programming is something that is the requirement of an industry henceforth, right? So let's get started, right? So we'll not waste much time. And okay, so let's get quickly started and have a look at what we have learned so far. So far we have been able to understand get request, post request. We have been able to understand the tokens very well, how CSRF is stopped, right? What is cross-site request, forgery, and many different things, right? So what is happening now if I run the program? I hope I have started the server. Yeah, the started server. And now if I run the program, the first file that's executed, as you know, is this urls.py, which is the main urls.py of the project, not an application, right? And now you can clearly see the moment you write login. So I'll go ahead and use the user browser and start writing login. And we get this error, multi-dictionary value error, whatever this error is all about. So we'll take a look at this error as well. And the moment we basically type login, so logins.url means the application name login .urls means this file logins.url is fired. Or you can say it is called. Now you can see that once you go to logins, if the name is login, right, these are already written. If you take a look at that URL, you're written login, and you are redirected to the website, or you include a website that is going to take care of all the URL routing here, and you have not written anything after login. If you write count, it's going to execute certain things. So if I write count, it will execute something else, right? And if I write log me in, it will execute something else, right? So what that something else is, we'll see that later. But at this moment in time, what we do is find an error. So we have an error. So let me restart this server again. Okay. So let me start this server. Yeah, the server is started. So now we have an error here. So now why is this error called? So the moment you say /login, you can see that txt username is causing an error right here. Because what method is fired when you load the site for the first time? Right, the HTTP method get is called when you load your website for the first time. You know that, right? Now what we are trying to do here, you are trying to go directly to a function known as login, which is in views. All right, so now this function is fired and it takes data, which is post data, that is txt username, and takes post data, which is txt password. So this is going to cause an error. For example, if I say username is equal to, let's say, about something that I don't mention, and password is equal to something that I don't mention. So the error is gone. So you'll see that you'll not find any error henceforth. Now you can see, please write a username and password. Why are you getting this message? Because you're providing empty username and password, and for that you're running this if and else here. All right. So this particular thing is completely understood. But how do you basically stop this? Because you have to take the post data. Right now, the error is coming because you're trying to load. Right, you're trying to load a function of a particular view on get, whereas data has to be taken on post. Now, how do you cope up with this? How do you solve this problem? Is defining a different function. We will say define login main, or let's define login get, and let's define this as login post. Now we have two functions. One is going to work on post, another is going to work on get. Now let's see how do you differentiate what works on get and what works on post. Is we have to take request from the user, so that's what we are doing. We're taking request, and here what we can say, we will return the rendered output, which is return. So I will write it down, return render Alright, and what do you want to take help from? You want to render the request. Right, and the second parameter is the file that you want to render, which is login.html, and message I want to give is the following: blank. So I'm not going to give anything, so let message be blank, or we can say login panel. So let's say message has login panel. Okay, is that understood now? Now let's make sure that when you load the website for the first time, this function is called, and when you load the site for the second time means when you load the website on post and when you load the website on get. Right? So let's try and solve this error. Save the file.
Thank you very much for your job.
Okay. When you load the site, for the first time, now you can see you're getting an error right here because the URL is not defined in here. So you don't have this URL defined. So we'll go ahead in urls.py and say, hey, whenever you don't type anything, you access the login panel on get, call the view function, which is login get. All right. So this is the first thing that we're doing here. All right. So it should work. Connection is refused. So let me check the server error. Okay, we have an invalid syntax error right here. Let's try running it again. Invalid syntax. Okay, message has an error. We have an error in the message portion. Go to views. The message has an error right here. Return basically this. Yeah, the message goes like this. So what error do we have? Comma perhaps? Yeah, we're not using comma here. Okay. Okay, this thing is done. So let's go on and fire this again. We still have an error. I don't know. Go to the terminal and see. Login, no attribute to login, so we don't have any attribute associated with login here. So I'll go to urls.py. So we have login get. So it is get. Let me see this. We are defining a function with login get, and message passed is this. And do we have any error in the message? No, we don't find any error right here. So the message is completely good. Login get and login post. We have two functions. Maybe login post is not defined. We're defining it in urls.py. Yeah, we can see this. There's no login, so I'll say login. Let me get rid of this basically. Let me get rid of this. Now it should work. We still have an error. I don't know. I'll save this and run it again. What is the error now? Login view has no attribute to login, so now we have just eradicated it. So we don't have any login, you know. We have this login get, and maybe we have the /login. Logins.urls is fired, and you're calling the function login get. That's absolutely fine, and there's nothing in the message. So message has to be login panel. Okay. So far so good. Let me save this. Control S, and let's run it. Or maybe restart the server. So it's basically hung somewhere. So I'll restart the server. Try and load. No page found. Login. Yeah, now you can see we're getting login panel. Why are we getting login panel? Because you have typed the URL login, and whenever you type URL login and you don't have any segment 2, login get is called, and in login get you're returning this message login panel, which is displayed of course right here. You can clearly see message is being displayed here. So that thing you already know. Now on post, what happens on post? Let's see what is a login action. Right, form action is log me in, so that means you will go to log me in. Now you can clearly see I'm calling log me in and it's not found, and the request is post. How do you know the request is post? Because the form method is post and action is log me in. So let's define log me in here. So I'll say path is log me in, and what function do you call? Now I'll call a function on post. So I'll say views dot login post, and I'll call this name is equivalent to, it is login post, and name is equivalent to, why have I closed it here? So name is equivalent to login post, whatever name you want to give, so it's not a problem. Okay, now we are calling a function on login, which is login post. What happens? Right, message being initialized by nothing, and now you take post parameter txt username and txt password, goes to username and password, and then you do conditional formatting of the same. So let's go back to login, get and post. Now you can see, please write a username and password. Right. When you load the application for the first time, this is called, and when you load the application for the second time, post is called clearly here. All right. Okay, done then. So now what we can do right here is the following. All right. You can see incorrect username and password. What is correct? NIT and password is correct. So I'll say NIT and I'll mention password as password, and you can say login is successful. So instead of login being successful, you can even redirect user to any specific URL, so that we can also do, right? You can return some other URL which is being rendered, right? If everything goes fine, right? And you can clearly see if username and password and each and everything. Let's go and make a class of it, and let's try and do it in a more professional way, right? So that we understand different things. But before I show you that particular content, I'll have to show you reusability of the code. How do you basically reuse the code? Okay, now I'll show you that. So today we will also learn this. Okay, let's go to templates, because we already defined templates. So we'll go and have new file, and I call this as let me call this as okay, just a moment. Let me call this as master.html. So now we have this page known as master.html, and we can make another file right here in templates. Let's call this as page.html. Now we have two things, master.html, and we have another page known as page.html. Let's go to master.html. You know that you just have to type this and click here, so all HTML code is inserted automatically. How? I'll show you again. Hit shift +1, you get this exclamatory mark, click this, and you get it done. Now let's say, for example, we style this body, and let's say we style it like this. I'll say style background, right, is equal to right. I'm doing inline styling because we're not learning CSS as of now, right? So this is going to be my body now. So I'm going to do something right here is I'll put something like this here, ampersand, and I can say block and I'll type block and content. So this is the block, and this is the start of the block, and let's say this is the end of the block. So I'll say end block. All right. So I'm starting the block here, and I'm ending the block here. Now what do I intend? What are my intentions? My intentions are that I want to reuse certain portions of my HTML document, right? So I can say let's say NIIT is the title. Right, so let's basically go to this page, we can say if you want to run this page. But yeah, for the first time, if you're starting doing this kind of logic, right? So you know that we have these extensions right here, right? You can go to extensions and make sure Jinja is installed. Right, so you can search for Jinja, Jinja. Alright, and Jinja template language is right here. You'll have to make sure that this Jinja template language is installed. Mine is not installed. Mine is installed. You should go through, right? So after installing this Jinja extension, right, go back to your projects and do the following. Right. So now this is the block content. अगर अभी समझ नहीं आ रहा, you'll be able to understand. If you're not getting it right now, stay in touch. You'll be able to understand how do we reuse the certain areas. How do we reuse certain areas of HTML? Right. If we have head section, we have body section. I'll show you each and everything. For example, we want to use the same block content right here in page. Now we have another page known as page.html. We don't need to use HTML here. It does not matter how many pages we will have. We will use the same HTML written right here. So it's going to be the master page and it's going to be the derived page. Alright, I can do something like this. I can go with ampersand, and I'll say that, hey, this page extends, right, EXTEN. This my page extends from master.html. So this is the page that I'm using. It actually extends from master.html. Now let's see how do we use this. Go to urls.py. I'll go to main urls.py. So I will define another path. If I type, right, let's say about if I type page 1, I have to get the following. I will file the following pages. So I'll say VIEWS views dot. So now we'll go to views. Or we don't have views here. Okay, let me go to the same urls.py here. Alright, so I'll copy this path and I say when someone types page 1, alright, he should be, okay, let's say name page 1, and which function do you want to run? For example, page. Okay, so views should have a function known as page now. So let me copy this and create a function known as page, and here I will be returning the page which is page.html, right, and message is going to be page. Okay, so now let's run it. I will say page login dash page. We have an error in URLs here. So we have views dash page dot. So we have it here page. So let's save this. Okay, so now we're rendering here page.html, which is right here. So it should be okay. Login, and if I go to page 404, method not found. Why? Because we have it here page.html. We're returning the rendered request of page.html right here in the URL. What is happening here? It's get, right? Maybe we are using just a moment, so I'll not extend it. So let me keep it simple and let me say hello. No, we're not getting it. So let me type exclamatory mark and say hello. And we'll say hello here. So now you can see this URL. There are some problems with the URL. The moment I say login, I go to logins.urls, and here logins.urls, I say, okay, I'll have to just put comma here. And what I say, is whenever anyone types page, no, whenever anyone types page 1, sorry, why are we typing page? It's page 1. So whenever anyone types page 1, he gets this page, hello. Right, and now I'll go here, and instead of using this, so I will use block content. So now we'll say extends master.html. The moment it extends master.html, you say earlier, now you can see that HTML is automatically included here. Alright, so you can say template does not exist at login page 1. So we are getting this problem. So for that, to overcome this problem, we will have to use the block here as well. Okay, so I will say ampersand VLOCK and UNTNT block content, and I will say ampersand end block. And here what I can do is the following. Jinja is installed, I suppose, here, and I can say h1 hello. Now you can see this. mater.html, it's master.html. Now you can see that everything will come from master. You can see the background color has come from the master page, right? Clearly. Now let's do something else with the master page here, and then only then you will understand. So let me get rid of this inline styling. Let me go ahead in the head section, and let me call let me do styling here. Let me call style type is equal to text/css. We'll take that to CSS file at the end of the day. So we're doing CSS styling here, right? And I will say that this is the master page. What I require to do is the following. Number one, I will call body. I'll say, hey, body tag. This body tag, I'll say you need to be background. Your background color needs to be hash. You can use any color. You can use it. You can choose it from here. You can clearly see there are many colors, right? So I'll say light gray. So background color has to be light gray, and now you can clearly see it's gone light gray, right? And now inside this body, what I do is have the following. I will create a division, starting tag, end tag. So this is the start tag, and this is the end tag. So I will call this, let's give it a name, div id wrapper. So I can give it an id wrapper, and I call wrapper wrapper. And I'll say width of the wrapper is, let's give it 90% of the total area or 95% of the total area. And I will say minimum height is going to be 800 pixels. Alright, so this is what I do. And I can say border. I'll use the property border. The thickness is 1 pixel. The type is solid. And I'll use any color if you want to use any color. So we'll use dark gray. So we have dark gray here. So the color, background color of the body is light gray, and there we have this. Now you can clearly see it's coming right here. And I'll say wrapper, hey, your background color has to be white, maybe. Yeah, white. Now it's not coming in the center. How does it come in the center? So we will say margin auto. So the moment we have margin automatic, it's automatically going to come in the center. So this is my master page, for example, right? For example, now this master page is going to have inside the wrapper, this master page is going to have another div, and we call this div header, header, right? And the header closes here. Right, inside the wrapper we are going to have another div. We call this div id content div. So this is going to be my main content div, and so on and so forth. Let's call this header now. Hash, it's an id, I call it with hash, and I say I need to call hash header, and I need to do the following with this hash header. Now what do you want to do with the header? I will say header will take width of 100%, whatever is available, but header is going to take a height of 100 pixels, right? And the border, because the border right left is already there, so I'll say border dash bottom is going to be 1 pixel solid dark gray, right? So I'll use dark gray. So now this thing is done. Now we have header as well. Height is going to be 100 pixels, width is going to be 100%, and border dot bottom is going to be 1 pixel solid and dark gray. This thing is done. Now you can see this is my header, and now after the header we have content. This is my content div. What I do, I will take this block content and I'll keep it in the content div, and this is what is going to be. Now this everything in here belongs to the master page, right? And this content is going to come from the derived page, right? So for example, now if I go to views, now if I go to page.html, I write hello, how are you? So now you can clearly see this hello, how are you is going to come inside the body section right here, right? Or let's call this as, let me eradicate and let me rename it. Let me call this as contact page, contact.html, right? Okay, I'll say this right here. I'll go to my master, right? I'll just style content div. I'll style and I'll say, hey content div, please give yourself padding of 10 pixels. I'll give it a padding of 10 pixels. Now you can clearly see what happens. Content div. Okay, div id, content div. So I'll just give this an id and I'll give padding of 10 pixels. The template does not exist. Yes, the template name was changed. You can clearly see it's now contact.html. So if anyone types, now you can see friendly URL. So I'll go directly to urls.py. If anyone types contact, right, you go and use the function views.contact. C-O-N-T-A-C-T. Contact. So I'll have to rename it because we renamed the page. So I'll say contact. Right. Now everything is fine. Let's run it. Instead of page, I'll have contact. It should run. It should not have any error. Yes, it has an error somewhere. So it's contact urls.py should call views.contact. And contact is here. Master page is here. Everything is done. Run it. Template does not exist. Why? Let's go to URLs. What URL do you expect? C-O-N-T-A-C-T, contact. If anyone types contact, right? If anyone types contact, he's going to use the file. Okay, not the name. Contact. The name is also contact. And this file is just contact. And we are rendering page.html and we have to render contact.html. Fine, now everything is changed. Now we can make as many pages. Now you can say hello, how are you? Instead of hello, how are you, I'll go to the contact.html. I'll say hello, or we'll say this is my contact page. Alright, so let's go and make few more pages. So I'll make about.html. So the about is here, and I can make gallery.html inside the templates. It's here. I can make as many pages as you want, but let's first style all of them. So let's go to about.html and I will use the same thing. So I will say $extendx, right? The way we use contact extends, so we'll use the same here. Extends, and let me copy this whole thing here in the about. So I'll say this is my ABOUT about page. Now let me go to gallery and I'll say extends the same master, and this is my gallery page. So all the pages are done now. What we have to do is go to views and define few views right here. So we go ahead 1, 2 and 3. First one is contact is defined, about has to be defined, and just let me get rid of this contact right here. Right, we have defined this, so I'll define gallery, gallery, and whenever anyone types contact, so it's going to get contact.html, about is going to get about.html, and gallery is going to get gallery.html. So for that we'll have to run URL. So let's configure URLs. So I will go ahead and copy this and paste it once and twice, and let me call this as about. If anyone types about in the URL, if anyone types gallery, if anyone types about in the URL, we'll call the function about. That's as simple as if anyone types gallery, we'll call the function gallery here. Alright, so let's try this and see what is contact doing. Not writing any HTML at all, using the same HTML from master.html. So this is your contact page. This is my contact page. So I'll go ahead and say this is my about page. Now see the magic here. The full HTML is coming from the master page. And see the gallery page. This is my gallery. So see, everything else is coming from the master page. Now even if I go to login, do I have to write anything on my own? No. Why should I write? I'll only go and write. I'll only go and just delete this and use it here as well. So I will say scriptlet. So I'll open them and I will say I need to take help from the master page. So I'll say extends extends master.html. So the moment you extend from master.html, so I'll say login. Okay, not found. So masterextends extends master master.html extends master.html, and I will use the same here. Block content and end block. So I'll say blockcontent, and you will say nblock block, and let's use the same. Okay, now you can see the login page has come, and within the block, this is the block wherein you want to add the code. So I'll add the form here. Now you can see this is your login panel. All right, so this is my login page, and if I type about, this is my about page. If I type gallery, this is my gallery page, and if I type contact, this is my contact. If I type contact, so this is my contact page. Now if you see, if I go and view the page source, you can clearly see, right, whatever you have typed, this is the contact page, you have typed it inside the block right here. So this is the only thing, whatever you write in this block will belong to this page, and everything else will come from the master page. For example, a master page has these things that you don't want to have inside the page, or maybe these things owned by the page. No, you don't want them, right? You want everything else that is in the master page to come from the master page except from this. That means inside we have, inside this content div, we say the page, the content of each and every individual page may change. Alright, so for example, let me have this here. Or let me explain it in a much better way. We have a master page, isn't it? You'll say, yes, we have a master page, sir. And then I'll say we have another, maybe contact page. Alright, so now whatever is here in the block content, so this is the code right here. So I'll just highlight this block content, and this is the code of my contact page. Now you can clearly see what is happening right here. Now you can clearly see every single thing. That means the moment you say extends the master page, every single thing which is this wrapper and this header and this content div will come from the master page, right? And this high will automatically go inside the block. That means whatever you write here will go here in this block, making you reuse the code again and again and again, right? So that is what is happening once you extend, right, the master page. The design is going to, because the complete website has a single design, you don't want to design it again and again. For example, if I have a URL, let's say I have a URL, I'll go to the master page. For example, we have this header, right? We'll say ahref, right, home, right, or we can say login, and I'll say login right here. So we have a hyperlink, right? Whenever you click on that hyperlink, you'll be redirected to login. So let me go ahead and test this, right? So we have this login here, so I can click in login, right, and then we will be redirected to /login, perhaps, who knows. This contact page and click on login, I go to login. Now I go to about page, login is still there. I don't repeat, I have not repeated. If I have to create a hyperlink or if I have to create a menu bar, I'll have to repeat it in every single page. So I'm not repeating it in every page, right? So I'll say about, and then I can say contact, I go to contact page, login is still there, I can click. Alright, so this is where we reuse the code. You can see each and every page will have this code which comes from master page, and the only thing that is in the div ID content. Why div ID content? Because we use our block in the div ID content. So this is going to be the content of the page which is owned by the page. Whatever is inside this block is owned by the page. Everything else is coming from master page. So that's the funda here. You don't want to design a separate page, or you don't want a separate page design of each and every page. For example, contact uses the same HTML, about uses the same HTML, and also gallery uses the same HTML. Not only that, we have also integrated login here as well. So please make sure that Jinja template is already installed before we carry on with this, right? And then we learn how to do it in object-oriented way, right? Okay, then let's go back and see what else can we do. I hope till now you all are well versed with controls, you're well versed with the URL routing, how does the URL routing take place, and you're well versed with how to handle views. All right, so this is not the way we handle views. Actually, this is hard coding. We don't believe in hard coding. All right, we don't hard code material like this. If it is post, then do this and that, blah blah blah. So we don't believe in that. Tomorrow what we will be doing is creating the first object oriented, complete professional component based full stack software development ka आगाज होगा. It is going to be the beginning, wherein we are going to develop a complete object oriented based login system, right? And then we will see how do we use sessions and each and everything right here. Okay, until then you got to practice. You need to make sure of two different things. What are we typing in the URL? Whatever we typing in the URL has actually handled, right? Is actually handled here, right? That's it. And now let's say, if you want to define, let's say, why am I typing this about after the segment login? Why am I typing contact after this segment? I want them to be directly accessible. I'll say, okay, if you want them to be directly accessible, so that's still not a problem. All right, because anyone who types login will go to login. I'll say no, anyone who types nothing will go to login. So that means you don't have to type anything right here now. Right, so you go to login directly and you can say contact. And this is your contact page. You can say about. This is my about page. Gallery, this is my gallery page. And you can say login and you could page not found. Why? Because you are running login now without anything. Login is direct access, right? So for that you'll have to erase it. Alright, so login get and login post have to be configured if you are running it that way. If I click on login, you can see login is working absolutely fine. Just main login is not working absolutely fine. Alright, so I'll just type it like this. If anyone types login, we'll get this function login get and you'll get the login page. So I'll say login, I get this login, just a moment. So I'll say login, no, we're still not getting it. Anything. Just a moment. So if I don't type anything here, so I will be redirected to logins.urls. Is that fine? Yes. I'm not typing anything. I'm redirected to logins.urls. So there I'm defining login. No, I don't have to define login here. I have to define blank, right? If you don't type anything, you get login. That's the root. Login as the root. And if you type log me in, you're hitting a function on post, which is login post. Now you can clearly see, please enter username and password. And if I type password, you can username and password. And if I type correct, you should get logged in, right? So what is the correct? It's NIT and password. So I can type it NIT and password. So we get login successful, right? So this is how we have handled a single page using get and using post. This function is called on get, means whenever you load the site for the first time, or whenever we load a specific page for the first time, since you know get is called, so I just named it get so that I get the render response, and my message will have this login. Message will have this login panel, right? And so on and so forth. Okay. So, and then after that, you take username and password and run if and else and whatever you want to do this, right? But the main concern of today's class was how do we reuse code using master page logic, wherein everything in HTML comes from the master page. In the coming classes, we'll include CSS and we'll style it in a much better way so that each and every one of you finds it interesting to develop a project. So we will be inshallah starting a project using the same Django, right? But we need to clear the basics, and tomorrow we'll first apply object-oriented methodology to the same program, and we'll do it completely object-oriented based, and then we'll carry on with HTML template language, and we'll understand actual logic behind MVT. What is MVC? Model View and Controllers. And what we have in Python Django is MVT also. We have Python MVT, means model view and templates, right? So that we'll understand from tomorrow. Until then, I wish you all the best, because now we are going to have regular classes, right? Only Sundays will be off, and I wish you great and good luck. And at times, if I think I'll have to give you a break if I have some elongated class or a class that is lengthy, so I may give you a break as well, but you need to complete the lecture on time. And unless you submit all the answers of this class correctly, your attendance will not be marked as present. I wish you good luck. In case if you're having problems, do WhatsApp me, and see you guys tomorrow inshallah. Bye bye, take care.